People sometimes have described to me that receiving a dementia diagnosis is something that they feel like is going to shatter their life. As someone who has been through this journey, what is the first step that you would have to support someone in moving past the initial fear and reclaiming control over their future?
Yeah, that was not a good time. Within a week, I got my diagnosis. The doctor told me I have an appointment to go and see the DVLA, which is the people who issue the driving license in this country. I went to them. They deemed me unfit to drive, and I was self-employed, and the contracting and the insurance said that they can no longer cover me because of my diagnosis. It means that my insurance is void. I can't work without the insurance. Once you've got a diagnosis, nobody will employ you. So that all happened within a week. I went from being great with a job I loved doing to unemployed, diagnosed, and no driver's license. Literally 7 days. It was there was that whirlwind of like, whoa, what's just happened? My whole life has been ripped apart. So that was difficult enough as it was. And then to get hit by that, it was a body blow. It really was not nice. But again, fortunately, I was open and honest about things. I spoke to people. I even went to go see a psychologist. I've never done that before. Talking therapy really helped. And then I got involved in peer support. So not only am I helping people, but they're helping me. And that really, it has a two-way effect, that. So I try and do anything that I can that will keep me happy. I learned to do gardening, but it wasn't enough because wintertime you don't do gardening. So what do? I'm a happy person. Don't think I've ever been able to say I've been depressed in my life before. And I don't think I really was then, but I got down. I went really down. You got to give yourself and everybody else, and again, this is a little bit of advice, is you've got to allow yourself to go down that road. But what you've got to try and remember is not to stay there. You allow yourself, it's a grieving process. You first go downhill, then you get angry. I did. Trying to understand, though, that your family members and everybody else are going through the same thing helps you to understand that you can't display your anger so much because you don't want to start. I don't want to rip my family up. I don't want to chase my friends away and everything. So, unfortunately, most of them were supportive. Most of them understood. I got friends from people I didn't even know would be by my side. And then I've got close friends who I would term, in some cases, best friends. I don't hear from anymore. They've gone. Just don't text me, don't message, don't do nothing. So you get to learn, probably because it's the disease and the stigma and everything, it's just chased them away. They realize what's going to happen, and some people are just not equipped to deal with it, or they don't want to deal with it. It's not easy. There's no great way of dealing with things. All you can do and all you can accept is that you do your best, but in doing your best, accept support. Don't try and think you can do this on your own, because you really cannot. I've seen people try it and they burn out very quickly. I know dementia is going to steal my future. I know that dementia is going to blur my past, because I'm not going to remember various things. So what I'm left with is the present. The present to me is all important. How does that reflect on other people? Well, really, it's how are you going to act and live in that present to make my life better? If you become agitated and aggressive, that means my present is going to become aggressive and agitated. If you're happy, you're calm, your happiness and your calm becomes my happiness and my calm. And that's how I try to live my life with everybody else. And I hope they try to live it with me, because then you get a better understanding of why the present is so important. I won't remember it. I'll remember the emotions. I won't remember it, but that's the future. I want to live in the present. So, and that's how I try to live my life. If you're living with dementia, you're caring for somebody with dementia, accept support. I think that is really, really key. Talk to people, accept dementia, and accept what's going on, and get support. It's really important. For those who don't know anything about dementia and that, then I would say learn so that you can be empathetic, not sympathetic. We don't want your sympathy. We want people to be empathetic. And I think that's really important. But again, no matter what you're going through, and people are going through some really difficult times, try to live in the present and make the present the best that you can.
I'm 4 years into this diagnosis, and it's actually, even longer. I was diagnosed first with mild cognitive impairment. One of the things, we want to talk about what the journey is, it's get me off the titles and get me off the accounts, because who knows, we made some concessions. I can get access to some, but the big money is away from me, family money, retirement, which makes sense. I don't want to do something really stupid. I don't want, and it's interesting. Everybody's going to be different. I'm trying not to be judgmental. There are people, our friends, when he got sick, the first thing they did, when he's really sick, took a trip around the world. There are a lot of people, I want to see everything. My last part of my life. Let's go do all the things we said. We don't have a bucket list. And we were confronted this when Susan was sick. So this was 20 years ago. But when your wife gets sick, and they said, and everybody thought she was going to die. And I even said to Susan, because I was working, I was president of my public affairs committee, and I said to Susan, I can quit, or I can take a leave of absence. Let's go take a trip around the world. Let's go do it. She said, Sam, if we're not doing what we want to do now, what we love doing, let's change because we don't like what we're doing, not because I might die. What a piece of wisdom. What a piece. If we're not happy we're not doing what we want most in life, change to what we want to do. I'm living my life, and I'm having meaning and purpose, and I hope help.
Well, when I think about it, I go back because I was a caregiver to both my mother and grandmother who had dementia. And I know how they were treated. And when I got my diagnosis, no word of a lie, we walked into the doctor's office after all the testing. This is when we're going back to get the actual diagnosis after testing. My husband and I walked in, and we're sitting there. Her and I had like a conversation like you and I are, because my dementia is a little different than most. Mine's affecting my multitasking and my executive functioning. It's not affecting my memory. So her and I had a great conversation before, and she walked in the room, did not look at me, looked at my husband and said, your wife has dementia, but she's doing fairly okay, so bring her back when she can't dress herself. I was livid. She did not say one word to me, and I walked out of the specialist's office and how I was treated. I made a vow as I'm walking out, I hadn't even gotten to the vehicle yet. I made a vow that nobody's going to silence me. Nobody's going to take my personhood away from me. And I need to change the way things are for people living with dementia, because there was no way I was going to be treated the way my mom or my grandmother was. Because now I've got the diagnosis in front of me. Well, you've got dementia, so you can't understand or whatever. And I was done. As I was going to the car, I made that decision. And then I got on my cell phone and I phoned my neurologist who had sent me to her. And I says, you better find me somebody else, because I'll never, ever go back to her again. Because it's like getting kicked in the gut. And that first 2 years, I was shaken up because of watching my grandmother and my mother. I knew what was going to happen. I knew what to expect. And then I started to make changes in my life for the better. Being a nurse, you don't eat right. You're working 12-hour shifts. You're not sleeping right. You don't get out to the gym as often as you would like. So in that first few years, I really did make changes to my life. So I started to change what I ate, how often I ate. I started making sure I was at the gym every day. You know, the other thing I had to do really early on was I had to make changes in my lifestyle on how I wanted things to be done. And I know that one of the big things is people make mistakes with money. So I went to the bank and I got that all straightened out, and because I love to shop and I still wanted to be able to shop. And we had gone to the States shopping just before I got my diagnosis. And when we came home, my daughter had just had 2 children within a year. And when we got home and we started to empty the truck, I had really overdone it. And I didn't want that to happen again. So I was really worried about overspending. So I made sure I went and I organized that. And then, you know, being a type A personality, my other big thing was, you know, I've got to organize a few things. One of them was my granddaughter was getting married the next year, and it was a destination wedding. So I went out and bought a dress because I didn't know how quickly I was going to fail, and I put it in the front closet. And anytime one of my daughters would come in, I said, I've got my dress for Brandy's wedding. It's in the front closet. Do not let Dad put anything else on me, right? Because I thought if I fail, right? So it was things like that. I went out, I looked at every nursing home in our area, chose 3 that the kids could put me in if it comes to that. I went so far as I went out and I organized my own funeral because I didn't want to leave that responsibility on my children. Right? So once I kind of got all of that done and I was kind of still doing okay, then I started doing, you know, being more involved with the Alzheimer's Society, you know, getting involved in some research, that type of thing. And what I found was the more I got involved and the more I used my brain, the more comfortable I think I became. And I started to feel like, okay, I'm not doing this. I'm starting to kind of do this. Now, do I still have trouble? Oh, yeah. You know, I cannot make a salad and fry meat at the same time. I have to make the salad. Like, I can't multitask at all. I have to concentrate on one thing at a time. You know, those types of things. Do I get my words mixed up? Yeah, all the time. My grandkids just laugh and go, Nanny, you're doing it again, right? So it's things like that. And once I kind of got that under me, then I kind of took off. You know, I had really stopped driving because I was afraid, what if I had an accident? Could I live with myself if I hurt somebody? Because I didn't have I always thought, oh, you know, I'll make mistakes. Well, no, I don't. I don't make mistakes. I can still drive. And now I've really taken to driving again. I never thought I'd ever write a book once you get dementia, but I was able to do that. So it's, you know, I may have to do things differently than I did before, but I'm still able to do them. But the other thing I think that really helped me get through this was in my own mind, thinking it through and going, okay, I have Alzheimer's. How much time do I have left? What do I want to do? And what I've realized is that I've lived my life on fast forward. I wanted to get so many things done before I declined that I was living life on fast forward, fitting everything in. I've got talks to give. There wasn't a day that went by where I wasn't doing stuff related to Alzheimer's. I wasn't doing research related to Alzheimer's. And not just one type of research, multiple kinds. So, you know, one could be on nutrition and research. One could be on activity and research. I was always, or Alzheimer's in the justice system. I worked on that, you know, so all kinds of different things because that was keeping my mind going. That was keeping my mind active, right? So it was those types of things that I think I lived my life on fast forward for the last 14 years. And that's, you know, you just keep going, going, going. And I think that's what kept me going so strong and so well. I'm still going to be involved, but I've made the decision it's time to start, you know, living my life for me with my family.
I think for a short while it was, what do I do now? It was an uncertain time. there was certainly no anger. I guess it was just a time of reflection, trying to figure out what am I going to do? And part of that is, what am I going to do to keep busy? As it turned out, the day after my diagnosis, I did have a meeting that I had prearranged to talk about a possible contract, but then I left there, and that sort of confirmed that I'm not going to pursue. I couldn't, because during the conversation, I got lost in the conversation. I couldn't remember what it was we were talking about. And it just, I guess professionally, it was an embarrassment. I was young onset. There was, I remember looking in the mirror not long after my diagnosis, and sometimes at that point I thought, is this real? Is it not? Because I guess for me it all came together, seeing the stigma, but also my own background and then my own diagnosis. And I thought, I can't just sit around. I mean, I'm not built that way. People that may not yet have a diagnosis, but are getting close to needing a diagnosis that will lead them to dementia, that they will feel that, you know what, I can still do something. And that's an important point. You do take time to reflect. You do take time to figure out what is next for me. And I think, volunteering is a big opportunity. There is that stereotypical model of living with dementia that, is firmly entrenched in the back of your mind. It's because the media just shows, frail elderly people walking in a lonely, empty, long-term care home. And so when you are, you look good, it takes time for people to adjust to that. And so there have been changes, but I still get comments that, you're really good today, and you'd never know that you had dementia. And so it's I think in a lot of cases it's the friends trying to catch up, with reality. And when you are having a good day, because, you're always, in a lot of ways, I think of myself as an actor, because when you are doing an interview, when you are doing even entertaining friends, you are trying to be the best you can be. And then when, the interview is over, or when the friends leave, then sometimes, that's it for the day. Because you have put so much effort into it. And so it can be really, really a confusing time for friends and family.